start with today, which was the calvarium, which is the three bones on top of the skull, right? We have the frontal bone here, right, in the front. You all see the frontal bone? It forms part of the top portion of the orbit of the eye, doesn't it? Right here. You can see the coronal suture going across. You see how those bones combine? That's the coronal suture. And of course, it's going to combine with the two parietal bones right here, and they have their own suture, the sagittal suture, going across. See that? And then of course, we have the occipital bone in back, which creates the lambdoidal suture. And if you look here, it looks like a Y. Do you see the Y appearance? That's where they get lambda from. So it's called the lambdoidal suture. Now as we pull off the calvarium, we can actually look deep into the skull, and we can see some of the other bones. Again, the occipital bone comes all the way down across to create the foramen magnum. She's got that tape across that says foramen magnum. See that? And that would be the hole that you see at the bottom. And of course, anterior to that, you have your sphenoid bone, right? The sphenoid bone here. And that actually is, I told you, the keystone of the skull. All the bones coalesce and form with the sphenoid bone. Here in the center, we have the divot, the sella turcica, right here. Y'all see that okay? I put my finger in it so you can kind of see it. That's the sella turcica. That is a structure you're going to need to know. So make sure you know it, right? And of course, anterior to that, we have the ethmoid bone right here, right? And you can kind of feel this kind of a knife edge to the ethmoid bone here on top. And surrounding that is the cribriform plate, right? Which allows for the olfactory dendrites to dangle down into the nasal mucosa. So you got the crista galli surrounded by the actual cribriform plate. Now, as we look at the facial bones, we see that we have the maxilla. You see the upper teeth here? The maxilla is embedded with the upper teeth. And of course, it surrounds the nose on both sides. The nasal bone is on top, creating the nasal bridge as you look at that. The cheekbone is the zygomatic bone here on the side as it comes down. And it matches with the temporal bone on the side here, right? Creating the zygomatic arch. Now on the temporal bone, I told you we had several structures. We have the external acoustic meatus, the little hole right there, right? We have the styloid process that comes down off of the temporal bone, and that large mound of tissue called the mastoid process, right? And of course, then as we look into the orbit, you don't see the bones very well here. We know it's lacrimal, ethmoid, sphenoid, zygomatic, frontal, and maxillary below. You'll just have to know those from a picture in the book, okay? And really, the vomer is the last thing. You see the little line in the middle of the nose? That's the vomer. You see it right there? That's an unpaired bone, and it works with the what? It's the nasal septum. The mandible, which is the other unpaired bone of the skull, just fits in with the actual temporal bone to create the up and down movement, right, of the skull itself. The mandible has the what? The inferior teeth, or the lower portion of your teeth, as well as you can see this nice little condyle here on the edge that allows it to articulate with the temporal bone, right? And of course, we also have little holes here inside the mandible. You see the little hole right there? It's called the mental foramen. It allows for nerves and blood supply to go into the mandible and into the teeth. Okay? So those are the skull bones and the mandible. I'm going to put this over here so people can kind of look at it if they want. As we